If you don't know, we lived for a year with the 11 of us in our RV, full time. This RV, so then we went to Europe for a year. Then we got back, didn't know what we were going to do, and ultimately knew we missed the RV, but we weren't interested necessarily in doing it full time. And so we got a smaller RV this time. And so we're still trying to work out the kinks of how you fit 11 people into a smaller RV.
Okay.
Morning! It's our last morning here. We're doing all our chores to clean up and get the RV ready to close up and take home. We do most of our cleaning here because we have running water and power in it. And then there'll be a little bit more at home as we unpack it. But this time we've decided to leave our Instant Pot and our rice cooker and our griddle in here and a lot of our utensils and just get new ones for the house. So that we don't have to, that was like the worst part, was bringing all of that kitchen stuff out. Next time we won't have to, we'll just have to bring food and clothing, and we'll get more and more that way. So this was a really good trip to kind of feel that out, because in like a week and a half, we're going on like a full Monday to Friday trip, which we haven't done yet. And so this was just what, Friday, Saturday, Sunday night. So we're just kind of increasing and getting better and better at it. Floor's all cleared off, rugs and bedding, and oh, we need to get that bathroom taken care of.
The sink is not draining.
Okay, I think it's because Dad's in the middle of doing something. Go ask him. Or you could probably just open the window and ask him. He's right out there. So, gotta put everything on the counters somewhere. Put these dishes away. All that good stuff.
Mom, can you open this for me?
Sure. What you doing out there?
Taking care of the
creeper?
out here.
Ooh, it's stinky. I gotta close this. It's dark in here. Everything's ready to go home.
Just 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Bubblegum in our tears. How many pieces?
What's reading? Oh yeah. First timer. Okay, we'll close up the slide as soon as we are ready to go, just in case. This is Dad's territory over here, and he's really good at it. He's got a whole system. He's a systems guy, but also a really nice guy.
That looks like fun.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we're done. Just pulling out of our spot and headed home. So we've got about a 3-hour drive, and then we'll clean up a little bit more, put our stuff away, and then this evening we've got a going away party for our friends. You've probably met them before if you've been watching the whole time. Their names are the Abbotts, and they own a summer camp for girls in upstate New York. That's just an incredible camp. We love the Abbotts, but they're gone every summer because they're running their awesome camp. So we're just going to go and have kind of a farewell with them and some other friends. They live on the lake, and have some fun, and then that's it. Home! Where the bing bang bing ding ding. Elijah just ran right in there.
He had to go.
Where did he have to go?
Get your stuff out of there. There's all your stuff.
Feels good to be home, right?
Yeah, who's this man inside?
Elijah, he had to go to the bathroom. What you doing, Pearl?
I'm waiting for Dad to, because we can't go in the RV yet.
Oh, can I go in? Oh, he's just putting the things out.
Want to plug it in first?
Yeah. Hello. Welcome. We're back home.
Welcome.
Welcome. Well, yeah, we're back home. We got finished with our RV weekend, or what? How many nights was that?
We're
Friday,
back
Saturday,
home
Sunday?
for 5 days.
3 nights. That was, so the last trip was 2 nights. This one was 3 nights. And in just a few days, we're going on a trip. That's how many nights?
5 nights.
5 nights. So we're working our way
5
up,
crazy
folks.
nights.
If you don't know, we lived for a year with the 11 of us in our RV, full time. This RV, so then we went to Europe for a year. Then we got back, didn't know what we were going to do, and ultimately knew we missed the RV, but we weren't interested necessarily in doing it full time. And so we got a smaller RV this time. And so we're still trying to work out the kinks of how you fit 11 people into a smaller RV, which the last one was probably, we guess, like probably, it's definitely less than 400 square feet. I'm guessing this one's less than 300 square feet.
It is tiny in there,
It's teeny
folks.
tiny, and most of the time you don't feel it except for bedtime.
Bedtime is the worst.
So that being said, on our last trip, the first trip we worked out a few kinks. Mostly we were just angry. No, I'm just kidding. This trip,
No, you're not.
I know. This trip we had a great time, but we still saw that we had a lot of things to work out, one of which was bedding. Because of the back room, there's 7 people sleeping in that back room, and just the way the air flows in there, some people are freezing, some people are hot, and so we didn't know that it was going to be like that, and so we have to get some different bedding than what we started with. And so that's what we're doing today. We're headed right now to do that, get some bedding. We're going to go to Target just because we know they've got stuff we like, and that's it. And then next week we'll go on our next trip. This next one, it's up in the air whether or not our 2 oldest will be able to come because they have to work. And so Elijah just got a new job today, and so we're not sure if he can ask for a week off 4 days in. We're not sure what he put his start date as. We'll talk to him when we get home, but we haven't seen him since he got the job. So yeah, it was really fun though. I think we had a really good time. You know, when we were there, I'm like, this is what I love. This is what I loved about our year in the RV, and this is why we do this, because we happened to be in a campground where we didn't really have service, so people couldn't be on screens. And then they were talking to each other, and they were playing card games and telling each other stories and just goofing around. And we all came home feeling closer because we were literally closer. There's something to that whole tiny house movement, you guys, where you're forced to be that close to someone. It kind of lends itself to getting closer, like emotionally. So if you do it all the time, though, it gets a little exhausting, especially with 11 people.
Yep.
But anyways, that's what we're doing. So we're gonna head out, and we'll take you along.
What do you?
We just need the cheap comforters that are like
Cheap. Totally cheap.
these room essentials.
Okay, so we're looking for new blankets for the kids' beds and the.
Hey, how you guys
Yeah.
doing?
Great, how are you? It's like our 5th iteration of this, right?
the blankets. Can't seem to get it figured out. We don't need the set, dude, because it's got all those like shams and stuff like that.
Okay.
Such a sham.
These are all sets, aren't they?
Yeah.
Let's
We
go
just
back
need
to
a
the-
blanket.
Let's go back to the kids section.
Okay.
Look
Okay.
at these cute sheets.
Those are
cute.
super duper cute.
But look, feel this one. It's like this velvet stitch, but it's really heavy.
Oh, and it's kind of fleecy.
Yeah. Fleecy's a good word for it. We just have to.
I'm good at words.
Look how cute these are. Woodland whimsy. They have like little bears and
Okay.
foxes and stuff.
So because we originally purchased the those sheets that are like a sleeping bag sheet.
Yes.
Those end up not
Oh,
working
but
so
look
well.
at these. That's even cuter.
Oh, Megan, there's too many cute options. What are you gonna do?
Well, there's only one of those though.
Oh,
Okay.
that's
Look
that.
how cute those are though. Okay.
Okay.
Then we
You
got
got it?
these. And then,
What about the blankets?
okay, we have the 2 folds. And then we want some twins, right?
For the girls.
Esther and Pearl.
Well, for whoever sleeps on those. Watch it, Megan. The bed situation is fluid in the RV right now.
Oops.
Trying to figure out what works best with wherever they are.
All right. shoe bin because there's always shoes all over the RV, and then there's dirt all over the RV. Smaller cups, bedding, trash cans, towels, whisks, and it's just the beginning.
I know.
We've
Well,
only just begun.
it's a dent.
It is. It's a good dent.
Yeah.
Silverware. Are we getting that at IKEA?
Yeah, IKEA.
They have good silverware.
Yes, good cheap silverware.
Breakfast, that kind of destroys.
Back home. Mom's getting the lowdown from Andrew on things. You can keep talking, it's okay.
Like, when I eat breakfast, it, like, destroys my motivation in the morning, but then I also feel like
Your kids have been hanging out. Pearl, what you doing?
I also get motivated and tired. So, like,
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I'm also really
I
hungry.
just started this morning and already past halfway.
Whoa. Is that the first time you've read that?
No, this is the second.
Oh, second time?
Daddy,
Sweet.
for dinner?
Mom's making some chicken. Asher, how's your sunburn doing?
A little bit better.
Let's see it.
Spray it again.
Does it hurt still?
Oh, a little.
Let me spray it one more time. Peter said it helped his ton. I made like a spray. That's just the color of the glass with water, Roman chamomile, lavender, and melaleuca.
Oh,
It smells so good, but it's really soothing and helps it heal quicker.
good for the skin.
Yeah.
A little bit of essential oil magic there.
Scoozy. So this is another thing that came today that we got for the RV. We're getting 3 total, but it's for hanging out at the campsite. And you fill it up with air, and then people can chill on it and sit on it at the RV campsite. It's nice, huh? Just stick it in there, dude. What? Stick it in the side. No, you gotta go to the side, not straight back. That way. So that's fine. And we got another griddle and another Instant Pot so that we can just leave our old griddle and our old Instant Pot in there. Chicken and roasted tomatoes and like a big salad. All right, well, dinner's done. It was really good. And now everybody's just doing their own thing. Mike's running some errands. But I thought I would take a minute just kind of bring you up to speed, because sometimes I forget that you guys, well, actually I don't usually forget, but sometimes I know it's important because we aren't able to share our entire lives and our entire brains with you all the time. And Mike and I have been talking a lot about traveling and thinking about why last April we decided to stop traveling full time and just come home. And at that point, we didn't know what that meant. We were terrified that it meant that all the joy and the good things that we found in traveling would just be gone from our life, like it was black or white. And really, I think it took us a good, almost a year to figure it out, to figure out what we were doing. First of all, we were just exhausted. We were exhausted after Europe and the constant travel for 2 years. And we just wanted the chance to not go anywhere. It felt really, really good for like 6 months to not go anywhere. If anybody was like, hey, do you want to go do this? It was like, nope, just want to hang around the house, do a little projects, get things done. And so we kind of just needed this transition time. But I remember we talk about all the time about how when we started traveling in the RV, that was not a forever thing. We knew it would just be for a period of time. But then after we got into it and it was like so gratifying and it felt so good, we thought, well, maybe we could do it for a long time. Though we kind of always knew with 11 people that it didn't make sense to do it full time. We did meet one other family that big that was, but more power to them. It was hard for us to have that many people in it for a year. But then when we went to Europe, I don't know if you guys watched the videos, but we thought maybe we would just be traveling full time indefinitely, a decade or 2 decades. We didn't know. We had met families that were doing that and we thought, let's do it. That sounds so exciting. And thought it would be less exhausting because we'd stay in Airbnbs that had more space. But ultimately for us, while we loved being in Europe and we are so grateful we went, it was actually more exhausting for us to move from Airbnb to Airbnb because we were living out of suitcases. I mean, we would put our stuff into drawers, but still you're moving all the time. When in an RV, you're just moving your whole house. You're not packing and unpacking. Your bed is always with you. There were places we stayed at where the beds were just awful, and we just had to get better at sleeping on, you know, uncomfortable beds while we were in Europe and a little bit into Morocco. Sometimes we just had to laugh because it was such a bad bed that we were just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we're sleeping on this, but you know, it won't be forever. And so when we came home, I think we were just tired. We wanted a break. One of the things we missed about when we were traveling was the ability to like create things. And we probably could have figured out a way to do that, but several of our children have artistic desires and talents and skills, and it was hard to do those on the road, at least the way that we were traveling, you know? And so in coming home, people were able to start pursuing that again, and I was able to pursue that more, and it was just enjoyable to have your space that was yours. You know, even when you're staying in an Airbnb, like it's someone else's space, it's someone else's sofa. So it felt really good to have our space that was just ours, like a little safe space. And we didn't know what it meant for the future. And I think the problem is that we get into this mindset because before we started traveling, we were just living a lot like other people. And so you think we'll have a house and we'll go to work and go to school, and then like that's how you do it. And those things started to change for us, but I think we still had this mindset that like you do this or you do this and that's it. And so when we decided to go to Europe, it's like, we will travel forever. It's like, you don't have to decide that. And in fact, our friends, Con and Katie from the Sundance family, they're incredible. They're just amazing people. And it was kind of like, you don't have to make those decisions. You don't have to think like that. Like you make a decision and that's it forever. And so we've tried to get more and more that way, where we recognize this is what feels right for now. And we're going with our gut, and we're looking at the needs of our kids and our family, and we're making the decision based on that. I'm not going to make any promises that that's what we're going to be doing in 10 years or 5 years or maybe even in a year, because I don't know what will happen and how our needs will change and things along those lines. So it's been really nice to get the RV again and have the ability to straddle both worlds, but it's also more complicated because when we had the RV the first time around, we literally took everything we needed and we were going to keep and put it in the RV and got rid of the rest. Like the only things we kept were our books and like photos and like my wedding dress and like a few other things like that. And the rest we gave away or we sold. And so that was hard to do, but it's harder it's not harder, but it's a whole different ballgame when you're trying to create two homes. And I'm sure, you know, a lot of you have done that maybe because of work circumstances or life circumstances, but we're trying to create two homes so that the ability to travel is really easy. We can just get in and go. But it takes time and it takes funds, it takes money, and it just also takes understanding what you need and what you don't need. Because you don't want it to be too full where you didn't actually need that. You still want it to be pretty simple in the RV. But I think we're getting there. We've decided that we don't want to move any cooking stuff, so I think we've got all our utensils now. The next trip will really let us know. We're leaving in just like a few days. And then we'll just kind of figure out our groove for when it makes sense to be traveling and when it doesn't. We will not only travel in the RV, we still want to travel internationally, and we'll have to kind of figure out how that works. We really enjoy our house right now, but we're only leasing it. And we would have the opportunity to buy it. But I think if we ever do buy, because I'm just kind of just so exhausted of that and the inability to change. But if we did buy, I think I would want a place where we could keep our RV so it's even easier to just get going. The RV's always at your house. We can't do that in our neighborhood here, so it stays in storage. But ultimately, I mean, traveling is something that's really important to us. There's so many good things that come from it. I mean, like I said earlier, like being in a tiny space together, it's like so bonding for our family. It requires a lot of growth and patience and those sorts of things, which is good for us too. But it also just gives us the opportunity to be in each other's space and to remember like, oh yeah, look, we exist, you exist. Like we're going to hang out together. Because sometimes in a house in a normal life, it's almost like you can skirt around each other and you're just like living parallel lives. So that's really good. But I think also it's so important to us to experience the world as a family. It's getting more and more complex where you're not really sure what the news is saying is true, or like, you know, what this group is telling you about another group. And so I think travel is one of the few things you can be in control of still in your understanding of the world. Like, I've been there, I've seen that, not only for tolerance and those wisdom along those lines, but also for an understanding of history and of geography. I mean, there's so many places that before we went, we really couldn't tell you where it was on a map, and now we can, you know? So just, I feel like the world shrinks, but also expands at the same time when you travel. And so that's something that gift we always want to be able to give our kids. But because of the needs of our family at this time, full-time travel doesn't make sense. And I don't know if we'll ever go back to not having a home base somewhere, because there's just something so intrinsically comforting about having somewhere you can go that's yours, and that, you know, you can always retreat to, you know. So we'll see. But we've got some really exciting trips up ahead. Mike and I are taking Elijah on a senior trip, just the 3 of us. We want to do that for each of our kids when even though they don't go to public school, when they're kind of getting ready to transition to adult life. We want to take them on a trip one last time just with us, so that we can, you know, connect and make memories that time and have that kind of special experience. So we've got a really cool trip coming up with that, and I want to kind of keep it a surprise, but it's going to be awesome. And it is outside of our nation's borders. We are going international for that, so that'll be fun. But then we've got next week's trip to Virginia. That'll be really fun too. So that's kind of where we're at and what we're thinking. And it's a different dynamic to travel but have somewhere where you spend the rest of your time, you know, in a home base. But I think it's worth it. And for our family, I think that really works. I don't know what the future holds. There's all sorts of things that would be exciting to us. It would be exciting to do the boat thing. It would be exciting to go live in a different country. So we'll just see, and we'll take it maybe month at a time. I was gonna say one day at a time, but you know, we'll just kind of figure it out as it comes and as our needs change and as our guts kind of tell us, like, you know, go with your gut, like maybe there's some other change. And we've also got some other fun projects this summer, something really exciting I think maybe we'll share with you tomorrow that we've been working on. That's gonna be super fun, and is something you can really only do when you have a home base. There's a little bit of renovation there, there's some fun, and there's some other stuff. So stay tuned tomorrow, I think, is when we'll share with you what our new project's gonna be. But otherwise, that's it. Thanks for coming along. I know some of you, this kind of living and with all sorts of change is kind of stressful for you, and it doesn't float your boat. But I think a lot of you understand that that's just how the Norps operate. Like over 10 years ago, I had a blog. Remember when everybody had a blog? And I called it New Big Idea. And because we always had new big ideas that we wanted to do and execute, and it was kind of a joke. And at that point I was kind of embarrassed that I always had some new big idea. But now I realize, like, that's how I live and breathe, and that's how Mike lives and breathes, and we pass it on to our kids, is that we're always reaching for something new and the next mountain to climb and a greater height, to the thing to accomplish, to learn and to grow from. And we love living that way. And I think probably some of you are watching just because it's like a freak show, or it's like a circus, and some of you are watching because you're the same way, because you're always reaching for more and wanting more and to live more fully. So either way, we're glad to have you here. We do consider you a big group of friends, and we love you. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and head over to norpandsouth.com. You can sign up for our newsletter, where you can get a little bit of behind the scenes, hear about some upcoming things. I also talk about oils, and you can go grab that t-shirt, the friend t-shirt. And that's only available until the 15th though. So if you're gonna grab it, you've just got a few days. Anyways, love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Come back for our big announcement.